He doesn't want to drive. You don't want to drive her home?
No, I do not.
Gift
She's
card.
supposed to be in a rehab facility, but somehow managed to get kicked out of it.
Physically hurting me right now. My chest hurts, my head hurts, my hands hurt, my wrist hurts.
Back in September of 2022, a strange episode involving a Florida woman named Alexandria led to a dramatic confrontation that went viral online. Alexandria's attitude of entitlement led her down a path that culminated in her detention in the back of a police car and subsequent incarceration. The incident occurred when she refused to get out of her father's vehicle, expecting him to act as her personal chauffeur and take her home.
I'd like to, go back to my house whenever he's ready, basically. So I'm just sitting in the car.
Maitland Police Department released body cam footage that shows her behavior, and we'll have a look at it today. On September the 18th of 2022, law enforcement responded to a distress call involving a daughter who adamantly refused to leave her father's car. The situation would prompt police intervention, highlighting a familial conflict that required resolution.
Okay.
Get out, and I want to get my car back, please.
Why isn't she getting out?
I don't know.
When the police arrived and attempted to handle the matter, they realized it was more of a difficult and petty situation than it was dangerous. They decided to question the father about the reason why the girl was not getting out of his car.
Got a lot of problems in life, and I can't seem to solve them, so I offered to give her a ride, and now...
Even though the father had no idea why his daughter was behaving so irrationally, he kept his calm and tried to explain the situation to the officers.
But he has the key to the car, so I'm just waiting on him to get out of the building.
You're waiting on him to what?
To get out of the building? To come drive the car? He just parked us here, so I don't know.
Yeah, but you know he doesn't have to drive you anywhere. But it's his car. He doesn't have to take you anywhere if he doesn't want to.
I understand. Well, he already took me here, so I'm in the car. I'd like to, go back to my house whenever he's ready, basically. So I'm just sitting in the car.
As the events transpire, the law enforcement officer, who is evaluating the confusing scene, then shifts his focus to the father. His tone is measured as he questions the father's intentions about the transportation of his daughter back home. The father responds in a cool and collected tone that his daughter had been refusing to get out of the car, and he just wants her to leave so that he can get his vehicle back. The man seems fed up and therefore made comments about the girl having several issues in her life he had no clue about and could not solve. He seems unfazed by the strange circumstances. This unanticipated response laid the groundwork for an even more unsettling revelation. The girl, who appeared to be unconcerned by her father's lack of interest in playing chauffeur, responded in a manner that made it clear. She was a spoiled brat who would not take no for an answer.
He doesn't want to drive. You don't want to drive her home?
No, I do not.
I think he might be having some sort of like early dementia or something, but he is not acting like himself.
In an effort to avoid a potential confrontation with the authorities, the daughter makes the deliberate accusation that her father suffers from mental illness. In an attempt to bring the difficult situation under control, and he explains the circumstances, telling the police that she was supposed to be in a rehab facility but had somehow managed to get out. She had either broken out or was kicked out because of bad behavior, and in an act of kindness, he took her to a restaurant in the hopes of a meal and gift cards to Starbucks, helping her to feel better when she showed up at his door. Despite his good intentions, the daughter continues to exhibit arrogance by refusing to exit the vehicle that the father was driving.
Gift
She's
card.
supposed to be in a rehab facility, but somehow managed to get kicked out of it and showed up back at the apartment. So I felt sorry for her, my mistake. Gave her more money, gave her more things to do, took her here so she could get food.
The story then becomes much more turbulent as details of her plight come to light. In addition to the humiliation of being kicked out of rehabilitation, she had to contend with the fact that her difficulties were widespread, especially when she found herself in the midst of the agonizing process of being evicted from her apartment.
You said she was evicted from the apartment. Does she not? So that's not where she lives anymore?
I still live there.
The police officer, recognizing the need for clarity in this perplexing scenario, takes a moment to clarify the predicament.
I'm not trying to live in this car, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, but you're not trying to get out of this car.
Correct,
Which right
not
now
right
you're breaking
now.
the law because it's not your car. So you're trespassing.
I go on Ubers. I go
Okay,
on Ubers
with
or
the permission of the person. He does not want you in his car. You're trespassing.
And despite the fact that law enforcement made a concerted effort to provide an explanation and assistance, Alexandria, the daughter who had stirred up all the drama, remained adamant in her reluctance to compromise her decision. In spite of the officer's reasoning, she remained steadfast in her stance, refusing to budge from the car. And after that, she makes a statement that takes everyone by surprise, providing an additional element of doubt to the scenario that was already being played out.
You explained it to me, but I would like to shut my door now.
I'm not doing that. It's not your door. It's not your car.
The conflict between the helpless father and the privileged daughter was becoming frustrating for the officer, but she maintained her composure, issuing a stern warning. Using a soothing tone, she then cautions Alexandria that she would most likely be arrested if she didn't cease the fighting against getting out of the car.
You understand that you're probably going to end up going to jail then, right?
The situation quickly goes from being a small issue to a significant one when the officer asks the father if he wants to press charges after Alexandria had been warned many times, and the father agrees.
So do you want to press charges for trespassing?
I do.
In spite of the fact that the officer's remark was extremely serious and that she was on the verge of being arrested, Alexandria continues to resist and keeps talking nonsense. She began to blame her father, who was standing outside the car, and goes as far as to say that he was behaving irrationally and it was because of his early onset dementia. She began to debate the charges that she would be facing rather than heeding the warning that was given to her.
I mean, you can't just press charges like that.
You can.
No, you
So
can't.
do you want to get out of the car or not?
Don't you guys have anything better to do today?
We actually do.
Yeah, like, so I don't know
So
what
we
you
would
guys
really
are up
like
to.
for you to
Why
get
don't
out
you
so
drive
we
around
don't
in
have
your
to.
cars?
I don't want to take a ride to the jail.
I would love to.
I would hate that.
Police officers were also resolute in their pursuit of a solution to the problem. One officer told her to consider the following scenario and imagine herself in jail. And when people there asks how she got there, she would respond because she wouldn't get out of the car. To any normal person, the story would sound insane. After all, going to jail for something that appears to be so trivial is not something that makes a whole lot of sense. But the girl refuses to acknowledge that she's in the wrong and rather refers to them as being stupid.
This is going to be one of those situations on when you go down to the jail. People are like, what are you in for? And you say, because I wouldn't get out of the car. People are going to be like, that's a stupid reason to go to jail. I mean, really, there's really not a really good reason to go to jail, but that's really stupid.
Well, it's more stupid of you guys because it's just a lot of paperwork and a
We
lot of
don't want
trouble.
to be here, but we're public servants. We've been called here.
Subsequently, it seemed as though there was a change in the dynamics of the situation when the girl begrudgingly agrees to get out of the vehicle. But on the other hand, an unexpected turn of events occurs just as it appeared a solution was on the horizon.
Sit. There's a bench over here. There's a bench there. There's a bench over there.
Nevertheless, she only agreed briefly since she had stepped out for a mere moment, making fun of the officer with her almost comical resistance. The move had conveyed her disdain for the situation, and the patience of police officers was obviously wearing thin, as evidenced by the unmistakable expression of dissatisfaction in their voices. The expressions on their face would indicate that they were exhausted by all of the drama, and she had made an attempt to shut the door of the automobile in an effort to bring an end to the debate. Nevertheless, one of the officers would immediately intervene, grabbing her hands and issuing a stern warning. It was made clear to the huffing and puffing brat that if she did not change her mind about getting out of the car, they would be left with no choice but to forcefully remove her.
Allow me to.
No, you're
Shut
not
my
closing
door.
the door. So
I don't want to shut it on you. I don't want to, like...
I can promise you you're not.
Please
gonna
stop
shut it on me.
touching this car because it's not your car.
It's not yours either.
Well, that's okay.
all right, you're gonna end up.
No.
You're gonna end up.
You are.
Stop. Step on out.
I'm just gonna pull you out.
To everyone's surprise, she then turned around and threatened to press charges against the officers, who were only doing their jobs, insisting that she would be the one to file charges, even though it was quite clear that she was the one breaking the law and wasting the precious time of law enforcement.
What's gonna end up happening is we're gonna end up having to use force on you.
I would like
We
to
don't
press
want to do
charges
that.
for assault. An
Well, it's
assault
not
charge.
assault.
I just was assaulted.
It wasn't.
Battery.
So
I want to press charges for battery.
okay, you don't get that. It's lawful.
I want to press charges.
It's a lawful.
I would like to press charges.
You don't get to.
I'm being held against my will.
The young lady, who was adamant about staying put in the vehicle without moving, became aware of the officers' diminishing patience and tried to manipulate them by offering to back down if they would merely issue her a verbal warning and let her walk away, despite the fact that they had already given her a number of warnings. She was aware of the tension that existed between her and the officers and made a strategic maneuver to exploit a potential opening in their determination, relying on the hope that they may let her off with a simple word of caution.
We could give you, but you have to get out of the car. That's the problem. So the main
Or a verbal warning? Be like, hey, please don't sit in people's cars again if they don't want you in them.
so that we've tried that.
Following the failure of her attempts to tease them, she then switches gears and begins to spin a story that she has no basis in reality. An attempt to swing the situation in her favor and turn the cops against her own father is a desperate maneuver and a last-ditch effort to turn the situation around. She intended to portray herself as a victim through a fabricated story, with the expectation that sympathy or misunderstanding would be enough to tip the balance. However, it is a clear-cut scheme, and experienced officers are able to see through it.
My dad is obviously like demented and he's got like an issue that I can't diagnose, right? I don't know what to do because he's getting older. Yes, in fact, we live at the same building.
Okay.
I am his caretaker. So
You're his caretaker?
yes, I am.
Fine.
And you know what?
And how do you care for him?
I take care of him.
She openly insists that she is the one responsible for taking care of him as his caretaker, citing his alleged dementia, even though it's clear that her father pampers her by driving her around, and the officer is able to see through the lies and still tries to reason with her. In an unexpected turn of events, the officer relates a personal tale, establishing parallels that disprove the allegations that were made against the helpless father.
He sounded a lot like my brother used to sound before he burned my mom's house down.
In the midst of her earnest explanation of the case to another law enforcement officer, the daughter suddenly says the most bizarre thing, saying, "Take a look at yourself."
It's part of the city.
Is that your pavement?
It's the cities.
Or is just that your stone?
It's the cities.
Okay,
So
the city,
why
okay, and the
don't you wanna
brick.
get out of it?
Who runs the city? Who owns the pavement? I want to talk to whoever owns the road.
Who do you think that would be?
I don't know.
Not when
I think you would have to try to get in contact with them or something.
I don't have to do anything.
I don't know.
At this point, the officers had reached their highest level of politeness, and what follows is arguably the most hilarious thing that has ever happened. The girl asserts that she is not a dog trapped within the closed automobile, and the police are not heroes attempting to free her from the vehicle.
It'd be really cool if you would just let me shut the door. I'm not a dog dying in a hot car, okay?
You go by Alex, Alexander, or you go by?
What am I called?
Yeah, what do you go by?
She's then given one last warning by law enforcement personnel.
They're going to get worse. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get forcefully taken out of the car, and I don't want to do that.
Whatever.
Because I don't want us to get hurt, and I don't want you to get hurt. So I really would like you to get out of the car so that we don't have to force you to get out of the car, or that force doesn't have to be used.
Defiance.
That's your choice.
As a result of her continuous display of conceit and stupidity, the police ultimately come to the conclusion that they have to take serious action, and they place her under arrest.
You're insulting me. What are you doing? No, I'm not going to. Why?
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
You're under arrest.
No.
You're going to be
I'm
placed
not under arrest.
You
I'm
are.
under cardiac arrest, if anything.
You're
No.
placed under arrest for trespassing and
You
resisting.
can't do that.
We can.
No, you're not going to. You're not going to. Stop. Stop.
I wish we didn't have to.
Stop.
I wish we didn't have
Stop.
to. We tried to work it out with you.
Stop.
For whatever reason, you decided
Stop.
not to.
Stop policing me.
Bye, Alex.
I'm sorry that this is the way that it had to go.
This is not the law. This isn't lawful. Alright. I'm not resisting.
Even after the authorities have arrested her, she continues to act in the same manner. Instead of letting it go and apologizing, she continues to tell lies and fabricated stories in an effort to portray herself as the victim of the situation. She even goes so far as to assert that the police are touching her in an inappropriate manner while she's in their custody. The situation becomes difficult, with some arguing that she's crying crocodile tears when she calls her father for help. And as she makes increasingly desperate efforts to avoid being arrested, the situation takes an unexpected turn for the worst. Her claims are difficult to believe, and others who are observing may already be able to see through the ruse.
I have to search
You're
you.
molesting me. You're sexually assaulting me.
Stop.
You are sexually
Stop.
assaulting me. No.
She's not.
Yes,
No,
she
she's
is.
not.
Dad, help me.
I am not helping you.
Please help me. Please help me.
Stop.
Get off me.
Stop.
Her father maintains his composure in spite of the fact that she has insulted him and continues to embarrass him in front of everyone, extending an apology to the law enforcement officers for the manner in which his daughter is behaving. After that, he gives the police a hint that she may be under the influence of narcotic substances, even though the daughter is showing him disrespect. He's still trying to go easy and act like a responsible father. It becomes more of a polite warning than anything else, but he's basically giving them a heads up about her conduct.
I can't get this.
I'm sorry. She may be under the influence.
You would think that things would finally settle down now that the girl was being detained by the police, but Alexandria has other plans. Most people would stay silent after having been forcefully removed from someone's property and tossed into a police cruiser, but she continues to lie in an effort to make herself appear to be the victim. Instead of pausing for a moment to think about her actions, she continues to ramble about how she's being wronged, possibly in the hopes that someone will feel sorry for her. It's almost as if she's creating her own movie, in which she plays the main character who is always the one that gets hurt. And it's clearly textbook narcissism.
Hurting me.
Okay. Well,
You guys actually assaulted me.
You kicked both of them.
You grabbed me and then she touched my breast for
there's
no
the-
reason.
Well,
So I don't really know.
You know,
An important point to note is that although the girl is detained in the police car, her hands are not restrained in handcuffs. It's a crucial aspect of the situation. You would think that the police were trying to get things under control by not being too harsh with her, but she refused to pay heed to their politeness. Nevertheless, it comes as a complete surprise that her behavior has not changed at all. It's almost as if she's playing the same song on an endless loop. They're making an effort to carry out their duties and establish a secure environment, but it appears that she is not getting the message.
You guys have like some sort of commercial health
do
insurance?
not fight us, okay?
What are you so scared of? I don't want to give back my. I want them. Why don't I get to keep them? No, don't touch me. See? You're touching me again. Stop it. Open the door for me. Stop touching me. I don't want to. No, what are you doing now? No, same thing.
At this point, even the people who had some sympathy for her are beginning to recognize the web of lies that she has woven, and it seems that she will literally say anything to try and get her way. After attempting to mislead the officers by lying about her health status and by claiming that her father was suffering from dementia, she keeps on going and tries to come up with one more excuse to justify her rude and downright disrespectful behavior.
You're constricting me. I can't breathe. You're constricting me.
Despite the fact that she's operating normally, she begins to tell a story about how her entire body is hurting, beginning with her wrists and continuing all the way to her shoulders. However, there is a catch. The lie is so obvious that everyone can see right through it. Her actions give the impression that she's attempting to add a dramatic flair to the scenario, but nevertheless, the police are not falling for her story. The look of disbelief on their face is obvious, almost as if she's trying to make do with every possible explanation and excuse in hopes that one of them will stick. While on the other hand, at this point, it's only getting a little bit too much, and you can't help but shake your head at the extent that some individuals will go to in order to avoid confronting the repercussions of their own actions.
Physically hurting me right now. My chest hurts, my head hurts, my hands hurt, my wrist hurts.
I know it hurts.
And my shoulder blades, and my shoulders, and my back.
And just when you think that she's run out of excuses and couldn't possibly make up one more story, she proves everyone wrong. She tries to assert that police officers are actually kidnapping her.
You're not a cop. You're a robber. You're stealing me. You're kidnapping me.
Okay.
You're abducting me. Ow, you're hurting me.
Oh, no! Stop doing it!
Have a seat.
Now she's headed straight to the police station, and one would think that her antics would be over, but the girl has become the epitome of stubbornness. Amidst a tense exchange, the arrogant girl complains that she can't breathe and that she's too hot, insisting that she's going to have a seizure. The officer calmly responds that he had just turned the air conditioning up for her and that within a few moments she should be getting some air. Unimpressed and agitated, she begins to yell and complain. And in an attempt at reassurance, the officer tells her to take a deep breath and that she'll get to the hospital.
Bring me to the hospital right now. I can't breathe. I'm too hot. I can't breathe. I'm gonna have a seizure.
I just turned the AC up for you, okay? You gotta give it a second. I just turned off the AC. You'll be able to get some air in a couple seconds, okay? I don't know what that means.
She then pulls a move that nobody could anticipate after spending what seems like an eternity chit-chatting with officers, and then tries to persuade them to give her a ride home. It has now become quite obvious that she is willing to say and do anything to get home, which makes a person think that maybe there's more to the story.
I need a physical exam. Who's the elected person in this jurisdiction? Take me to them. I don't even know that this is your jurisdiction. I don't know who you are. You're kidnapping me. Give me a ride. Give me a ride home.
She devised this tactic of complaining and behaving like an entitled brat to get her way, but this time it's backfired on her. She's clearly under the influence of substances, and her behavior is pretty consistent with that of a spoiled child who's never been told no in their life. If things don't go their way, the only way they know to handle it is by throwing a tantrum. Fortunately this time, instead of a helpless parent, the girl ended up in a face-off with the law enforcement, who had put her in her rightful place.